Today, we are talking about the polymath, the lost art of being a generalist. And we're going to dive into an idea that really challenges pretty much everything we've been taught about modern careers. Think about that for a second. Your degree, your job title. Society loves to put us in these neat little boxes. They feel safe, right? Maybe even a little comfortable. But what if they're actually cages? Beautiful, golden cages, sure, but cages nonetheless. And what if our real power is actually found outside of them? I mean, we're taught this from day one, aren't we? Pick a lane, get really, really good at one thing, and stick with it. But is specialization really the only way to succeed? History tells a very different story. So let's dig in. Okay, so first up, let's tackle what some people call the specialization myth. This whole idea that you have to be a master of one thing. It sounds like ancient wisdom, doesn't it? But honestly, it's a pretty new invention. You've all heard it, right? Jack of all trades, master of none? Well, that phrase is basically modern propaganda. It was the perfect marketing slogan for the Industrial Revolution. See, factories didn't need creative thinkers. They needed workers who did one thing over and over and over. And guess what? Our whole education system was pretty much built to pump out those workers. It wasn't about creating well-rounded humans. It was about creating efficient cogs for a giant machine. And this comparison just nails it. You know, back in the day, the village healer saw the whole person. They were part psychologist, part philosopher, part community leader. Fast forward to today, a specialist doctor treats a heart or a kidney or a lung. They're fixing a part, but are they really healing the whole person? Specialization made us super efficient, for sure, but we might have lost some wisdom along the way. So let's hit the rewind button. Let's go back to a time when being a generalist wasn't just okay, it was the absolute goal. Yeah, we're talking about the Renaissance. So here we are. This is the golden age of the polymath. It kicks off in the 14th century, really hits its stride in the 16th with giants like Leonardo and Michelangelo. Back then, if you said something like, "Oh, I only paint, I don't really care about science," people would have looked at you like you were crazy. Just incredibly narrow-minded. The big goal back then, the ideal everyone was striving for, was to become l'uomo universale, the universal man. This wasn't just some fantasy. It was the blueprint for a good life. The idea was to have a mind that was wide open, to have diverse skills, to be strong in both body and spirit. Just look at Michelangelo. We all know him for his painting and sculpting, right? But the guy was also a world-class architect. He designed the dome of St. Peter's Basilica and a fantastic poet. For him, these weren't separate jobs. They were all just different ways of expressing beauty. Different languages, same goal. And this is the key, you guys. The reason the polymath could even exist, let alone thrive, was because knowledge was seen as one big, interconnected thing. Knowing anatomy wasn't just for doctors. It was crucial for artists. Geometry wasn't just for mathematicians. It was everything to an architect. Everything was connected. So, if being a polymath was so great, where'd they all go? Well, it's a story with three main villains, if you will. Okay, villain number one, the printing press. All of a sudden, there was just too much information for one brain to handle. Villain number two, the university system. It sliced and diced knowledge into these separate departments. You got rewarded for knowing more and more about less and less. That's basically what a PhD is. And finally, villain number three, the Industrial Revolution. It demanded cogs for its machines, not creative freethinkers who might ask too many questions. And just like that, the polymath became an endangered species. To really get our heads around this, there's a simple but really powerful analogy that just perfectly captures the difference between a specialist and a generalist. It comes from this ancient Greek proverb, later made famous by the philosopher Isaiah Berlin, and it goes like this. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. It suggests there are really just two ways of thinking. You're either a hedgehog or you're a fox. So let's unpack that. The hedgehog, that's your specialist. They view the entire world through one single powerful lens. Think of an economist who sees everything in terms of supply and demand. Now the fox, that's the polymath. They don't have one big idea. They have a whole toolkit of different ideas, and they adapt their thinking to whatever problem is in front of them. And here's the kicker. In a stable, predictable world, the hedgehog does great. But in our world, which is complex, chaotic, and changing like crazy, the hedgehog is surprisingly fragile. When their one big idea gets proven wrong, they're kind of stuck. The fox, on the other hand, they're built for this. They're built to adapt and survive. Which, you guessed it, brings us right back to today. Because this whole story has a really hopeful twist. The polymath is making a comeback. It's ironic, really. The very thing that first overwhelmed the generalist, that explosion of information, is now their greatest weapon. The internet doesn't just throw knowledge at us. It lets us connect the dots between fields in ways that were never possible before. Those walls that used to separate art from science from business, they're starting to crumble. And you can see this reflected in the future of work. I mean, look, AI and automation, they're getting scarily good at those routine, specialized tasks. So what's left for us humans? The stuff machines can't do? Creative thinking, and this is the big one, solving complex problems that cut across different disciplines. In other words, polymath work. Just think about the biggest challenges we face today. Some people call them wicked problems because they're so tangled up and complex. Climate change isn't just a science problem, right? It's an economic problem, a political problem, a human psychology problem. No single specialist, no matter how brilliant, can solve that alone. We need people who can build bridges, who can see the whole massive picture. So, look, this isn't just some interesting history lesson. This is about you. This is about kicking off your own mental renaissance and waking up that inner polymath that, trust me, is already in there. Here's maybe the most practical way to think about it. This specialist has one tool, a really powerful hammer. And it's a great hammer, but it means every single problem they see looks like a nail. The polymath, on the other hand, has a whole toolbox. They've got a hammer, sure, but they've also got a screwdriver, a wrench, you name it. They can actually look at a problem and pick the right tool for that specific job. That gives them way more flexibility, way more creativity. And listen, this isn't about trying to become some kind of unattainable genius like Leonardo da Vinci. His real secret formula wasn't secret at all. It was just courage. The courage to stay as curious as a kid and to believe, really believe, that everything is connected to everything else. That the flight of a bird is connected to the flow of water, which is connected to the muscles in a human spine. So at the end of the day, the Renaissance isn't just a dusty period in a history book. It's a mindset. It's a mindset of rebirth, of curiosity, of exploring the world without fences. So the real question isn't about what happened back then. The question is for you, right now. What will your Renaissance